Just as an aside, were you surprised when your instrumental career took off as such?
Absolutely, but pleasantly so.
Because it was so different at the time.
Yeah, it was, and I've said it before that we really thought that the surfing record was the last record that they'd ever let us make. And when I say us, I mean me and engineer John Cunnaberti,
yeah.
Jeff Campitelli, who was with me, and because we had all been in part of a band before I went solo, so we thought, well, this is a lark, and it was so difficult to get the funding to get it finished. And when we handed it over, it was sort of like throwing our hands up and say, okay, we'll go back. We'll never bother anybody ever again. Yeah. So when the album took off, it was a vindication as well as a complete surprise.
Yeah, and here we are, and now you're ahead of the game. You're the guy that everybody looks to. I mean, playing wise and creative wise, album wise, and which makes the whole thing about Chickenfoot so interesting, of course, because looking at the 4 people in that band, I mean, again in the PR it's mentioned that you didn't put any pressure on yourselves, but actually you did, because you had to come up with all this material. You had to come up with an album worthy of the names in the band.
We did.
Did you feel that?
No, what we wanted was to make great songs. I think everyone was trying to impress the other guy in the band.
No bad thing.
By saying this is a great song, and if you think it needs something extra, please help me write it. And that was the way that we worked. And so Sammy would rewrite the songs over and over again. If he didn't like the lyrics, he would just come up with different concepts. So a song could, be about going this way or going that way, or sometimes he would just, you'd catch on to an idea and he would work it and work and work until he got the lyrics just perfect.
It's kind of organic then. It's kind of keeps it fresh.
It was great. And he sang on every take, and all the takes are all the songs that are on the record. The recordings are built around live takes.
Right.
Where there's a live bass, drum, and guitar part, and a lot of the vocals are from those live sessions.
Right. Getting back to some of the individual songs, songs like Oh Yeah, Running Out, and My Kind of Girl, they've all got radio potential. They're all kind of crossover potential. Were they written with that in mind?
No, it's written in the most innocent way. Like My Kind of Girl. I think I wrote that riff and I filmed it on my laptop, and I showed the guys, and it was more, I thought it was sort of a little bit more heavy metal sounding. And then when we got to the studio, I was plugged into this PV 50 watt that had a more jangly quality to it. So I started playing it, and Chad was like, I like it better like this. Kind of like more Rolling Stones sounding like. So it was like, okay, so I said pick a tempo. And so he found a tempo that he thought was right. And then
like to suit his
his idea. And then Mike came in and he was thinking, well, maybe I could, reduce some of the things you're doing and come up with this, and I like that idea. And then Sammy starts singing. He bounds into the room and says, I got it. I know what this song's all about. I want to go sing it right now. Let's do it. So we had to quickly write a bridge and a solo section. That was the only thing that hadn't been written. So I came up with something with Mike on the spot, and then we recorded it, and bam, that was the first time we heard that it was going to be called My Kind of Girl. So it instantly became a lot more commercial just in a few organic moments in the studio.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Very much so. On Soap on a Rope and Get It On, there are a couple of riffs on there which do sound like Led Zeppelin, or that kind of, they're derived from that kind of feel. Did you have those riffs before the songs came about?
No.
Were they part of the whole thing?
The song, it's actually Get It Up.
Get It Up.
Yeah, Get It Up. Actually, that song was one of those songs that I didn't know if Sam would sing a song like that. And my demo was a bit more Nine Inch Nails sounding. It was more like, it was kind of like that, and I thought, well, I'll just throw it out. And Chad really liked it, but he said, but let me do something different with it. And Chad wanted to have these dynamics. Both he and Sam said, let's do it so it's loud and soft and loud and soft.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of that. I like that.
Yeah. And so I was really happy that they liked that, because I like the harmony of the song is something that really resonates with me. And so that came from a different place. Yeah.
And Down the Drain, that's another real kick-ass sort of number.
Yeah. Now that Down the Drain, I'm going to tell you, it's the funniest story. We were about to record, I'm pretty sure we were about to record Turning Left.
Right, which I want to talk about as
well. So I tuned up my guitar. When you're in the studio and you're doing takes, you're careful with your guitar. You get it tuned just right, and you try not to move and everything because you want the take to be perfect. And I was just sort of playing a little riff from one of my songs from many records back, but just checking the tuning. And I'm looking up and I see Chad right over there, and he starts playing this kind of funny little thing, and I just all of a sudden come in with this bonk, dunk, and I start playing this riff, and I'm playing it very lightly because I don't want to put my guitar out of tune, right? And I keep thinking, any second we're going to stop, and we're going to do what we're supposed to be doing, which is turning left, right? So I'm not really committed to what I'm playing. I'm just improvising, and then I hear Sam in the distance in my headphones. He's gone, "Is this a new song, Joe?" Because they think...
Oh, that's what he says on the record. I was trying to work that out.
Yeah, he hasn't heard My Kind of Girl yet. At that point in the session.
Oh, that's great.
So he doesn't know if that's what I'm playing, but I can't hear him because he's not yet in my headphones, right? So we start playing. All of a sudden, his mic comes on in my headphones, and he starts singing.
You know? I wondered what that was.
So we wrote that song. That's when I say we wrote it instantly, I mean what you hear is a recording of us writing it. And when we got to the end of it, we all looked back and we said, "You recorded that, I hope." And of course, Andy Johns knew from a second. That's why the guitar suddenly come on, because he heard me playing and he thought, "I think Joe's going to play something important. I better record this."
Well, it's a good job as a producer to do that. And Turning Left, that we just mentioned, seems to be the track where everybody explodes. Everybody plays their true potential on there. That could almost be an instrumental.
It could be.
Sammy puts there's this incredible vocal on there, and one of the things he does, of course, is he phrases it almost the same way as you play the licks, which I think is fantastic. And did that happen spontaneously, or?
No, that was a song that was part of the original 6 or 7 demos that I wrote for them. And again, it was a song that had a slightly different drum approach to it, and I wasn't really quite sure if they would like it or anything like that. But they all loved it, and of course Chad turned it around, and Mike played something on the bass that I could never play, you know, and that really propelled it. And then Sam said to me, "I want to do a vocal part that's almost like a horn part." Ba-da, ba-da, da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. So, and right before we were about to do that take, I think Chad said to me, he goes, "Back on your demo, weren't you doing some like rhythm thing?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Why don't you do that again?" So I thought, okay. And all of a sudden that take, and I went over to I was standing by my amp, but my speaker bottom was in an ISO booth to my right. But I realized this is the kind of song where you want to be near your amp. So I opened the 2 sliding doors so that I could turn my guitar right into the speaker and get feedback. Because it was the kind of song you have to kind of let loose and keep it raw.
And on some of the songs there, you've got different tone colours on your guitar. Almost sounds Eastern on some of them. I mean, do you change that according to the song, or what determines what you do on your guitar at any one point?
It's the song. You want the song to dictate how you're phrasing, how you're setting your amp. If you need a 12-string, if you need a B3, you need a banjo, you just do it. So. And
does Andy Johns ever suggest stuff like that to you?
All the time,
as the producer.
Here's a good example. So we're just about finished with My Kind of Girl, and he says, "Joe," he said, "bear with me for a second. I got this crazy idea," and he said, "I want you to get all your harmonicas out and get a sound that you like out of your mini colossal amp there, and meet me outside in the music room." So I go out there, and he goes, "Okay, what I want you to do is," he said, I'm gonna give you like 8 tracks, and I want you to play 1 note each on the harmonica, but you're gonna have to take a really deep breath for these things to go, and play them out like that." So I was like, "Okay, I'll just do what you say, and we'll see where this leads."
That's good.
And then after a few moments, I come back in, and he had multi-tracked all these harmonicas playing almost like an organ part, and he just barely mixed it in with the guitars, and it's the perfect introduction sound to that song, where it kind of propels it, but you don't know what it is. You go, "What is that I'm listening to? Is that an organ? Is that are those guitars?" So it was fun working with him.